Hello everyone, welcome back to AfroMD. It's been quite some time since my last video, but I wanted to come and talk to you guys about some clerkship advice I have for students that are making that transition soon. So first, starting with just general attitude, I think the most important thing I learned during clerkship year is that you don't necessarily have to know everything or really anything. Obviously, it's good to read and be prepared, but I think what makes some of the best clerkship students is people who show up on time, people who are willing to learn, and also people who are willing to work within a collaborative team well. Studying for clerkships can be difficult depending on the different types you have. So for me, I'll tell you my clerkship order. I did pediatrics first, and then psychiatry, then internal medicine, and then outpatient medicine as well. And after that, I did neurology, surgery, and then obstetrics and gynecology. Really depends on the clerkship what resource you use, but by and large, number one resource to be used is definitely uWorld. What you do is you buy the step 2 question bank, and then you do those questions throughout the rotation. I would split up the questions based on how long the clerkship was. So for example, most of our clerkships were 6 weeks. So what I would do is I would divide the number of questions by 4 weeks, and then I would get through all of the questions within a 4-week span. So for most clerkships, that ended up being anywhere between 20 to 30 questions a day. It wasn't much more than that. And after I got through the questions, I would use the 5th week to go through my incorrects, and then the 6th week, which was the last week of the clerkship, would be used doing practice MBME exams, which are the National Board of Medical Examiners. Those are the people who create the shelf exams, and they have practice exams for each of the different topics that are useful, I thought, to studying for the shelf as well. So uWorld is one. Our school provides us this subscription to AMBOSS for free. And I found the AMBOSS questions personally to be kind of difficult. So what I would do is I would read the learning cards. For example, if I had to do a presentation of some sort, I would reference AMBOSS first because it was very nice. It takes you through the epidemiology, the risk factors, diagnosis, treatment, that type of thing, which is very useful in getting an overview on large topics. Each of the clerkships themselves have different resources. So for example, pediatrics, there's a book called the Board Review Series, or BRS, that I found that was helpful to read. For psychiatry, we had what was called a psychopharm quiz. So at our institution, we were provided with a packet of all the different drugs classes, from SSRIs to antipsychotics to drugs to be used for people who wanted to quit smoking and quit drinking, different things like that. So that quiz actually helped studying for the shelf, but also helped with studying for step 1 as well. And then for internal medicine, the main resource I used for internal medicine was the uWorld questions, but I know some people read Harrison's as well. I think I read maybe one chapter. I mean, the chapter was helpful, but it's just, it can be hard to find time to read. For neurology, I actually ended up using the AMBOSS questions for neurology because I did it after medicine, and I didn't want to reset my uWorld, so I just did AMBOSS questions instead, and I think that was helpful. For surgery, some people like Pastana's, which is this surgical book, which is very helpful because it goes through different cases and how to prepare for them as well. So that's a helpful resource for some people. And then for obstetrics and gynecology, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has they pair with someone to create a question bank called uWise, which was very helpful to do practice questions in. We were assigned a textbook as well because we had weekly quizzes in obstetrics and gynecology, which was also helpful studying for the shelf. Third, just miscellaneous things that don't neatly fit into categories that I'm just going to talk about kind of as they come to my head. I think one thing that I didn't really get a sense of at the start of clerkship year was, how to be a good member on your team. Kind of your role as a medical student, you're really there to learn first and foremost. So never apologize for not knowing something, because if you knew everything already, you wouldn't be in clerkship year, you would already be a physician. So first and foremost, know that you're there to learn, and that is supposed to be your priority. I think being helpful on the team can take the shape of, doing tasks specifically for your patient and taking ownership of your patient. So for example, if, there needs to be, you sent a lab to a different institution, you can be in charge of calling that lab to make sure the lab was received, getting a fax report of that lab, making sure that, for example, if a patient doesn't speak English, you always know how to reach that language. You have the interpreter saved on your phone. Just little things like that can really make a difference in showing your team that you are, you're a valuable member of the team, and I think that's the most important thing. For situations in which you are not the only medical student on the team, it's really, really important that you talk to your fellow med student and you both uplift each other, right? Because think about it, a lot of these interns, residents, attendings are very busy. It's best for you both, or however many of you are on the team, to all look good. So it's really important to talk each other up, make sure that you are creating an environment, and also your co-med student is creating an environment where you can both shine, because you can both succeed, you can both win. Another thing that can be very helpful is making sure to ask for feedback. So depending on how long your rotations are, checking in kind of at the middle of the clerkship to see how the team has perceived you. And then a really successful tool for asking for feedback is asking for things you did well and then things you can work on. And then when you go back the next week, work specifically on those things. And then when you're getting feedback at the end, it's just helpful for people, because if you're able to show that you grew in a specific area, that is better for a specific intern or resident to talk about in an evaluation. So asking for feedback, frequently, but not too frequently, but frequently enough, maybe weekly or so, I think can be very helpful. In terms of asking people to give you evaluations, if you have the choice, always, always, always ask for feedback before you pick someone to do an evaluation. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% guarantee that if someone gives you good feedback, they're going to give you a good evaluation, but I've heard numerous times people pick someone thinking, they had a good working relationship with someone, only to find out, that you just don't want any surprises on your evaluations. It's very important to, I think, advocate for yourself as well. Clerkship year can be very weird, and that you feel like you're always being evaluated, and I think that for me was the hardest part. So if you feel like you're struggling or you're having difficulties, it's really important, if you feel safe, to talk to the clerkship director. If you get a comment that feels a little strange, or there's an interaction that you feel like you need someone else to be involved in, reach out. If you don't trust the clerkship director, because sometimes you don't feel safe talking to them, finding another adult or someone in administration that can advocate for you, I think, is very important. Lastly, on that note, make sure to document. Like, if you have a bad feeling about something, it's just important to kind of have all the materials you need to talk about it with someone else kind of in order. Obviously, I hope nothing happens, but I think it's just important to be prepared. So I hope you like this video. I hope to be doing a couple more soon, just on studying for STEP, and also on the residency application process, because I'm currently going through that right now. I also just took both steps this year, so stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.